Okay, hello, it's Paul Green here from the business community. We're doing another one of our regular Spotlight on videos where we just get to learn a little bit about another small business owner. And today I'm joined by Sarah Wood of Small Business Web Support. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, Paul.
So the intention is to just put Sarah in the spotlight, ask her a few questions, learn about her business journey, and then later she's going to share some of her expertise for 3 or 4 minutes, just to give us a little bit of advice on what we should be doing when we're setting up websites and email addresses, which I know can be a little bit of a black art for a lot of us. So hopefully we're going to get some insights into that. So Sarah, do you just want to introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you do?
Hello, well, I'm Sarah Wood, and I focus on helping small businesses with their websites and general sort of internet support. I can do anything from guiding people through the process of getting set up, through helping them update and maintain websites, building their websites from scratch. But generally speaking, I'm just here to help people if they don't really know what to do with their websites, or if they just haven't got the time to do what they know they want to do.
Okay. So you've not been in business that long, 2 and a bit years, would that be about
That's
right?
right. Yes, that's right.
So tell me a little bit about what you did before and how come you decided to start your own business?
Well, I've been in IT for absolutely forever. I've been in the business, over 30 years now. And been working with the web since its very infancy. And I've worked for a long time. I worked for the Open University in their IT team as everything from a web developer, a systems administrator, software developer, a full wide range of IT areas. And eventually I came to realize that I was doing very similar things over and over again, and I wanted a bit more of a challenge. I've done so many different areas and I wasn't doing anything new. So I decided to take some time out and start the business. And I'm really loving it. It was the best decision ever.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Because I guess, if I think back when I started, it can be quite a fearful thing to do because you're stepping a little bit into the unknown. So how did it feel for you making that first step?
It was quite terrifying because there was nobody else to ask if there was a problem. If there was a problem, it was down to me to sort it out. And I have the internet, which is a fabulous tool. And there are many, many sort of areas to research things. But at the end of the day, the buck stopped with me. And that was one of the most terrifying things I found. But by the same token, if I got it right, or when I get it right, and people are really happy with what they've got and how it all works, then it just feels good because I know it's all down to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you said that it's one of the best decisions that you've made to do it. So it sounds like things are going well. What's contributed to that success then, your first venture into running your own business?
I think the main thing is the fact that I've been meeting some really nice people, both as clients and the networking. It's been absolutely amazing. Networking was something that was very alien to me. I didn't even know it existed when I first started out. And Stephen Church found me. I can't even remember where he found me, on some Facebook group or other, and invited me for a one-to-one and introduced me to the world of networking. And it's been great because I've met a lot of interesting people, a lot of really nice and friendly people, and they've really helped me both by advising me and finding me clients and referrals. And that is the main thing that's contributed, I think, to getting going and getting the confidence to keep it going and growing.
Mm. So networking is obviously close to my heart because I run a group, obviously. And I appreciate that sort of for a lot, they don't know about networking, the fact it exists. If you sort of come straight out of corporate, it's a whole new thing.
Yep.
What would you say to people to maybe encourage them to come along if they are a little bit nervous about networking?
I think the key thing is it is nerve-wracking, and I still remember that first 45-second pitch. I had no idea what I was doing or what to say, but people are very welcoming, and it is worth it. At the end of the day, when you're starting out in business, your time is precious and it is worth it. It's without doubt been the best thing for getting my business. It's where majority of my business comes from now is referrals and from both within the networking and from previous clients.
And how differently have you found it since we've been sort of forced to go online because we can't actually do any physical networking meetings? How's that been for you?
It's been interesting. There are advantages and disadvantages. I obviously like the fact that I don't have to get up so early and drive somewhere for the meeting. That's fantastic. And so I like that. I do find it more of a challenge when there's lots of people in the meeting because you see lots of faces, especially when they don't all fit on one page. But it makes it easier to do it in some respects. It's easier to think, do you know what? It's not going to be that much extra time because I'm not got to go anywhere. So there's definitely been advantages to it.
I think now is a great opportunity because you haven't got the travel time, the travel costs. It's geographic independent now. If you wanted to go and network anywhere in the world, you could. You've got the internet, you've got the connection, you're there. So I do think it's a great time, for people to test it out. Because particularly now, you've not got that ominous feeling of walking into a room of 20 or so people you don't know. Worst case with this, if you come into the room, you don't like it, you've got the little X in the corner that you just click now and you're out of it. So yeah, if anybody's listening to this now and you're nervous about networking, it's fine to be nervous. Just sort of get out there and give it a go. I think everybody, most of the meetings I've been to are welcoming of newbies because they remember what it was like when it was there first time going to a meeting. So I think everybody's sort of sympathetic with that. So let's stop boring people about networking now. It's about you, not about me. So I often ask business sort of like, what's their why? What sort of like drives them? What sort of gets you out of bed in the morning? So what would you say would be your why about business?
There's two things. One, the equal weight, I think, on this. I'm very much a technical person. I love technology. I love to learn about how things work technically. And that is one definite thing. If there is a really knotty technical problem, I just love it. And that definitely gets me out of bed in the morning, the ability to try and the problems and the solutions to those problems. I get so excited if it takes me a whole day to fix one little tiny piece of text on a website. I get extremely excited. So that is one thing, the new technical challenges. The other thing is I pride myself on the fact that I'm good at talking to people about technology and I know IT is full of jargon, full of jargon. And I pride myself on the ability to actually talk to people in language that people outside the industry can understand. And I love it when I see the light dawn with people because I have explained it properly or it's taken me a little while, but I have managed to explain what I'm trying to do. And that's great. I love that.
Yeah, there's a lot of TLAs and FLAs, aren't there? 3-letter acronyms, 4-letter acronyms out there that we'll get a bit of feedback now. I don't know what that is. But hey. So what would you say makes you different from your competitors then? Because I guess there's other people out there doing web design or web support. So what would you say is the edge that you have?
I do take time to talk to my clients and try and make that connection with them. And if you understand your client a bit better, you understand not just their business, but if you actually look at them as a person and find out what they like and what they're interested in, I think you can build a better website. It's important to remember that a website is not specifically for the person who's building it. It is aimed at the people they want to attract, but the people they want to attract, generally speaking, have got a lot in common with them. So by focusing on the client and getting to know them and their business, I think I do a better job for them.
And I guess the 30 years experience helps.
Well, yes. I mean, you name it. If there's a system, I've forgotten more programming languages than I can remember. So yes, lots and lots of experience.
Yeah, I bet. And I bet it's changed so much and quite quickly over the years, hasn't it?
It has. It's been interesting because when I first started, it was a lot about trying to make sure that your programs ran efficiently because processing power was very limited. And as we moved on, suddenly processing power became massive and massive and massive, and we didn't worry about it. And now we're moving back towards the handheld devices more, and web pages. Google is prioritizing speed of page load for when it displays it in the rankings. So we're going back to let's get everything efficient in a way that we did back in the early days. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's come full circle almost, hasn't it?
Mm.
So you mentioned clients. Is there any particular ideal client or sort of perfect client, if you like, that you're looking to deal with?
There isn't really, because if you've got a website, or if you haven't got a website and you don't know what to do with it, then you're my perfect client. If I had to say a client who was slightly more perfect than anybody else, I'm probably looking at someone who is at the start of their journey, because I do get a lot of people come to me who have registered a few things, and we need to unpick it and sort it out. So really, I'd like people to come to me at the beginning, which I will focus on in the later on. But that would be my perfect client, someone who hasn't actually got anywhere yet.
So they haven't messed it up yet, in effect.
Yes, I was trying not to say that, but yes.
No, I've dabbled in domain registrations and things. I'm a bit geeky myself, and I use WordPress as a platform, as I know a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes you do get stuck. I was quite proud of myself the other day. I managed to install an SSL certificate, which probably take you 2 minutes. For me, an hour later, where I thought I'd probably ruin my website, we eventually got it working and everything was fine. So it's probably best to sort of like get experts like you in at the start, so you're not making too much of a mess. So when we're recording this at the moment, we're still in a sort of pandemic, lockdown 2.0 or tier 3.0, whatever tier you're on. So that has been a challenge for a lot of businesses. Outside of that, what would you say are the biggest challenges that you faced as a business owner?
I think the main thing has been valuing my skills and appropriate charging. That's been the biggest thing. As I said earlier, I'm a techie. If there's a technical problem to solve, that's what I revel in. But the financial side of things has been a big challenge for me, and valuing my skills and valuing my worth and charging appropriately. And that is one of the things that's my big focus for 2021, is to reevaluate charging and make sure that I am getting sort of properly paid for what I do, because I know I'm good at my job. I know I'm excellent at my job, and I need to focus on that, and the financial side of things.
Yeah, no, I think that's a tricky thing for a lot of businesses when they start off, is knowing that right sort of price level. No, I totally get that. Something else popped into my head then and popped straight back out again. It'll probably be my age. So going forward then, how are things looking for you? Because as I said before, we have been impacted on by this pandemic. Some businesses struggle depending on what sector they're in. What's your outlook for the future?
It's very good at the moment. Things are, as I said, snowballing. It's great because people refer me previous clients and so on. So it is looking good. And I have found that the pandemic didn't affect me massively. In fact, in some ways, it was easier in the lockdown areas because people took time to reevaluate their websites. And it was a good time. I've had a lot of people contacting me over the second lockdown. The summer, I think, when people after lockdown had ended and when summer came and people were suddenly trying to gear back up again, it went very, very quiet. But longer term, I'm just going to start ramping things up now. I'm going to start getting out more and building on what I've done, building on that confidence, building on the clients I've got. So yeah, 2021 should be a good year.
Good. So do you think that people are a little bit more technology savvy now, because we've all been sort of forced onto either Zoom or a platform like this? And a lot of people, I guess, who were technophobic have suddenly had to, get a webcam plug themselves in. So do you think that's a good thing? And is this sort of virtual stuff here to stay?
Oh, it's definitely here to stay. I don't think it will stay in this as quite as much as we have it. At the end of the day, it's still nice to get out and actually meet people. But I find it's so much easier to schedule meetings in, and I don't lose a massive amount by doing it this way. And for me, it works quite well because I'm not limited by geography for potential clients. It's interesting really, because before all this started, I was very much, I want to do this in person. I want to talk to people in person. I don't want to do this over the phone. And I still don't really want to do it over the phone as much, but face to face, even Zoom face to face, I think it works.
Well, certainly for me, I think there's going to be a market for it afterwards. Yes, people want to get out and look people in the eyes, and if we're allowed, shake hands and things like that. Because that's just human nature, isn't it, to be around people? And I don't think anybody expected this to go on as long as it's gone on. So it's been quite a shock, I think, for most. But I feel that, certainly it's a platform that I'm going to use more for my business. And there seems to be, other technologies coming up that are sort of capitalizing on this virtual world. So yeah, it'd be interesting to sort of see how it shapes. So I think it'll be a blend going forward, because it's interesting that there's some businesses that have joined me, my organization as members. This is all they know. They've never done physical networking. So this is like the norm to them. So it'll be interesting to sort of see whether they venture out into the physical world when we go back to it, because it'll be the other way around for them, because they've not tried what it was like before.
Yes, I think you're right, but I'm definitely going to be doing more webinars. I haven't actually ventured into the webinar route yet, but I definitely want to do webinars in 2021, and I probably would have been doing training it more in person, but I think I'm going to be doing it more like this.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier, doesn't it?
It does.
So I'm going to hand over to you now, because you kindly said that you would share some of your knowledge and expertise and educate us a little bit. So I think you're going to touch on what we touched on earlier, how to really start at setting yourself up right with, I guess, domains and websites and emails. So if I just put you on full screen, and I'll hand over to you, Sarah. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about when you're starting out, what to think about with your domain, your website, and your email. One of the things that I find is that people will often get their email set up. It's the first thing you want to do as a business. You want an email address, and they don't think too much about the website just yet. It's something to worry about a little bit further down the line. But I would recommend that people take advice about their domain with regard to email and web hosting as well. Because what happens is people often register the email address without any ability to have web hosting. And then when they start to have their website, things have to be moved around and unpicked. And the internet is remarkably slow. Transferring domains can take quite some time. And that by this point, the last thing you want is your email address to be unavailable for a couple of days. So I would recommend just taking a little bit of advice at the beginning about where would be a good place to start your domain hosting with a view to getting your website eventually. You don't have to pay for web hosting initially, but just have a think about how it might all hang together in the long term. It's also a good time to actually chat to some web developers and see what they can do, even if you don't actually want to do it just yet. But it might give you some ideas about the appropriate hosting to choose. Obviously, I recommend WordPress for smaller websites because it's an industry standard, but there are other options to think about, and that's the stage to start looking at what might work for you, certainly in the short to medium term. So once you've thought about what you want to do with your domain, think about what you're actually going to get longer term from the point of view of control. Make sure that if you get someone to set that website up for you, that domain up for you, that you've got access to all that information, your passwords, your user accounts, and that your domain is actually registered in your name. And what if you're paying something monthly, know what you're paying for. It's amazing how many people come to me, they've got no idea what they're paying for, or even sometimes exactly what they're paying on an annual basis. So just make sure you've got a clear idea of that. It's quite important. Once you've got your website set up, keep it up to date, keep an eye on it, keep it fresh. have a good look round, make sure it's just portraying you in the best possible light. Get a website built that reflects your personality, but remember, it's about your clients. Build a website for your clients and what you want them to get out of the website, and how you best to get them to come to you. I think that was the main thing, really. Yep. Keep control of your website. Make sure you know what you're getting.
Perfect, sound advice. I know I've got in a mess with domains and stuff like that before, and particularly transferring them can be such a pain.
Absolutely, and it takes time. People just don't realise it.
Yeah, well, as you know, I went through a rebrand earlier this year. So it was about sort of like making sure there was an element of continuity if people were still going to the old site, you know, to get through to the new one. So it's things like that you have to think about. So yeah, it can be a minefield, and I guess a black art for most of us, but probably not so much for you.
No, but it's still a challenging thing. And when you tell people that their domain could be unavailable for 48 hours and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it, I can minimize the time and make it as short as possible. And there's lots of things I can put in place. But at the end of the day, I can make no guarantees. That's the internet.
Yeah, it's just the way it works, isn't it?
Yes.
So if you were to give sort of like one top tip for any business owner, what would your top tip be?
I think the top tip. Oh, that was my. Sorry, that was my phone.
That's all right. One way of sorting out.
That doesn't work. Anyway, my top tip would be keep your website fresh and up to date.
Okay, yeah, good top tip. There's nothing worse for me is when you go to a website. Well, there are two bugbears for me. To show how grumpy I am. So the first one is like if you go to a blog page and the last post was sort of like 2 years ago.
Yes.
You know, it sort of suggests that you know, is the business still there? You know, do they still exist? That type of thing. And then the other thing is the About Us page that sometimes never has anything about the people involved. It's all very corporate, we this and we that and stuff like that. And you don't know whether they're a one-man band or a five-man band or whatever. And I just think, you know, that's the first opportunity, because people buy people at the end of the day. So it's the first opportunity to start to sort of see the people that you're potentially dealing with. So they're usually the two tabs I go to first if I go to a new website, just to have a little look round.
Blogs are a great way. Blogs are a fabulous way of doing it. And you can reuse your content in different areas, which I'm sure the social media experts will tell you and help you with. I like blogs because it also, not only does it show the websites being kept up to date and kept fresh, it's also forcing you to go back to it and regularly look at it. And address things. Is the homepage still working? Can I do something that would make it more interesting? And actually, one other tip is to think about the mindset of the people you're trying to attract, and make sure that it's appealing to the people that you're trying to attract. A lot of people's clients will sort of think about things in certain ways. So, for example, if I'm building a Reiki or a yoga website, I might want to have a more spiritual look and feel to the website, because I know that's more likely the kind of what people are going to be looking for.
Yeah, yes, be conscious of that, very much so. So your ordeal is over, Sarah. So thank you for your time today. I appreciate you giving it up and for sharing, you know, a little bit about your journey, and especially those tips. So I'm going to end the broadcast now. So thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Paul, and apologise for the phone going off and bleeping.
That's all right, as long as it still works. Now you've thrown it across the office.